I pressed the little recorder under my desk, right behind the power strip, wires coiled around it like a snake nest. 3 a.m. Dead quiet in the office except for the hum of the vending machine. I tested the mic once. Click, click, then sat back in my chair, heart slamming like I just outrun something. That was the moment. The second I knew for sure I wasn't crazy. I wasn't jealous. I wasn't imagining anything. My name's Mike Reddick. I'm 30 years old, regional manager for a farm equipment supplier based out of Boise. I'm the guy who wears steel-toe boots in a carpeted office. Been married to Leah for 4 years. We had the usual kind of life, weekends fixing up my '98 Silverado, grilling ribs on Sundays, grocery runs, Netflix, all that. 6 weeks ago, all that got wrecked by a man named Jackson Cole. He walked into my office like it was still the high school locker room and he was still the quarterback. Tan, loud, white button-up a size too tight just to show off his gym work. I recognized that smirk before he even said a word. "Damn, Motor Mike in a tie," he said, grinning like we were old pals. Didn't see that coming. Motor Mike. He used to call me that in middle school after he caught me reading a car magazine in the cafeteria. I was the quiet one with oil-stained hands and a backpack full of model train catalogs. He was the golden boy varsity everything, homecoming king, girls hanging off him like Christmas ornaments. Now he runs a landscaping chain out of Twin Falls. He said he needed equipment, tractors, mowers, trailers. Big deal. Big money. Said he wanted to give the business to someone local. But I could already tell he wasn't there just for the catalogs. He looked around my office like he owned it, eyes stopping on the framed wedding photo on my desk. Leah in her dress, me in my tux. He grinned. "That your wife? Lucky guy," he said. That moment stuck in my gut like a nail. Quick note. Before we start, how's your day going and where are you joining from? I knew that smile. It wasn't friendly. It was the same grin he gave before knocking me into the bleachers sophomore year during gym class. Same one he wore when he flirted with girls who already had boyfriends, just to prove he could. Jackson wanted a meeting this morning to finalize a quote. Said he'd come by early. He didn't know I'd be here way earlier. Planting a recorder under my desk. I clicked the mic one more time, grabbed my keys, and left without turning off the lights. I didn't sleep a minute that night. Just stared at the ceiling, waiting for daylight. By 9, I was back at the office. Jackson rolled in at 10:30, whistling like he'd just left a beach bar. He dropped into the chair across from me and tossed a folder onto my desk like it was a football. "Final specs," he said. "Let's make it official, huh?" We went over the numbers. He nodded through most of it, half listening, fingers tapping like he was bored. Then, like he couldn't help himself, he smiled and said, "Didn't expect Motor Mike to end up in a corner office." I didn't flinch. "Didn't expect you to read a contract without a lawyer." He chuckled, leaned back, and kicked one leg over his knee. "We've all grown up, huh?" I wanted to wipe that smug grin off his face. Instead, I asked if he wanted to go over the delivery timelines. He waved it off. "Nah, I trust you, man. But hey, why don't we grab dinner? You, me, your wife. Be good to catch up properly." The word "you're" dragged. I heard it, felt it in my chest. I stared at him. He just kept smiling like this was all casual. Later that night, I told Leah about the invite. Her eyes lit up. "That's the Jackson Cole? The one from your hometown? The football guy?" "Yeah," I said. "That one." She laughed. "You never let me meet anyone from back then. I want to see what he's like." I didn't say what I was thinking, that she was about to find out exactly what he was like. We booked a table at that place off the highway, Sage Creek Grill. Dark wood, overpriced steaks, cloth napkins folded like swans. A place that thought it was fancy. We showed up at 7 sharp. Jackson didn't walk in until 20 past, loud and unapologetic, laughing into his phone, wearing a navy blazer, jeans, and a Rolex thick as a cuff. He clapped me on the back like we were long-lost brothers. Then he turned to Leah, and his whole damn face changed. He stepped forward, took her hand gently, too gently, and said, "You must be Leah." Now that's not what I pictured when Mike said he got married. She laughed politely. He held her hand a second longer than normal before finally letting go. I watched him sit, already in control. He ordered a bourbon without asking what we were having, leaned back, and started in. All through dinner, he ran his mouth like he was auditioning for something. Brought up every damn story from middle school and high school. Me stalling my car at the junior year parking lot. My voice cracking during a choir solo. That time I wore mismatched shoes to school because I got dressed in the dark. Each one made me look like a loser. And Leah? She laughed. She laughed hard. "Mike, you never told me any of this," she said, wiping her eyes. I looked at her. "Because none of it mattered." Jackson shrugged. "It's just good memories. We all had our awkward phases." He made it sound innocent, but I knew what he was doing, breaking down the version of me Leah thought she married. He complimented her dress, told her she had a real grace to her, said she looked like the kind of woman who'd keep a man focused. Leah blushed. I saw it, and she didn't look at me once during dessert. Before we left, Jackson picked up the check like he was doing us a favor. He stood, fixed his collar, and gave Leah one last look that lasted too long. "We should all do this again sometime," he said. Leah nodded before I could say a word. Outside, she walked ahead of me to the car, still smiling. In the car, she didn't say much, just scrolled through her phone while I drove. I asked if she had a good time. She said, "It was fine," without looking up. When we got home, I kicked off my boots and leaned against the kitchen counter. That dinner was something else. She dropped her purse on the table, pulled her earrings off. "Yeah, Jackson's a character. More like a performance." She shot me a look. "Mike, come on. He's just charismatic. You always get weird when people bring up high school." "He's not just people." She rolled her eyes. "You hold onto the past too much." She walked off before I could respond. I stared at the spot where she'd stood. My hands clenched, jaw locked. That word, charismatic, was gonna stick like gum on my shoe. Next morning, she spent an hour getting ready just to run errands. Lipstick, curled hair, perfume I hadn't smelled in months. By the next weekend, it was a pattern. Tight jeans, low-cut tops, heels instead of sneakers. She said she was meeting an old coworker for drinks. I nodded and acted like I believed it. A few days later, she came home with a new blouse still tagged. Said it was on sale. She never used to care about brands. She started staying out later. Came home with that floaty, half-smile on her face and some made-up story about traffic or catching up with someone from yoga. Her gym bag stayed in the trunk, untouched. I wasn't an idiot. I didn't push. Not yet. I just watched. That Saturday, she came out of the shower wrapped in a towel, hair dripping. Her phone lit up on the bathroom counter while she hummed some song. One message. From him. "Still on for tonight?" I stared at it so long the screen went dark. When she came back into the room, I was sitting on the edge of the bed. "Going out again?" I asked. She barely hesitated. "Yeah, Natalie's in town. We're catching a movie." Natalie lived 3 hours away. "What movie?" "I forget the name." She picked it. I nodded like I bought it, like I wasn't already doing the math in my head. I didn't call her out, didn't throw the phone at the wall or follow her out the door. I just waited. She left in a black dress I hadn't seen before. Hair perfect, lips cherry red. She came home around midnight. I was still on the porch. Same spot I'd been for hours. Empty beer bottles lined the steps beside me. The porch light cast a sharp yellow glow across the driveway as she pulled in. She walked up with her heels in one hand, hair messy, lipstick gone, eyes a little too wide like she'd run from something. Or maybe to something. She froze when she saw me. "You're still up." I nodded, raised the bottle in my hand. "Couldn't sleep." She shifted her weight, looked past me. "Long movie." "Yeah," I said. "Any good?" She hesitated. It was okay. We stared at each other in the quiet. Crickets chirping. One dog barking way off in the distance. She gave a tight smile, then brushed past me and went inside. I didn't follow. I stayed out there, hand around the neck of the last bottle, sweat from the glass soaking my palm. The heat of the day still clung to the porch boards. I could feel it under my boots. I didn't need a confession. I didn't need tears. I already knew. The only thing I didn't know yet was how far it had gone, or how far it would. I sat out there another hour after she went in. When I finally stepped inside, the house smelled like her perfume and something else. Something bitter I couldn't name. That's when I shifted gears. I stopped asking questions. I started paying attention. Leah's phone was always face down now. She used to leave it lying around. Not anymore. She'd get twitchy when it buzzed. Step outside to take a work call, even on Saturdays. Her gym bag rode around in the back seat like a prop, the zipper untouched. She wore workout leggings but never broke a sweat. I didn't follow her. I followed him. Jackson was easier to track. His landscaping business had a flashy website with all their community outreach projects listed. I used it to get a sense of where he moved. Locations, hours, patterns. It took 3 days to realize he disappeared like clockwork. Late Tuesday afternoons and again on Fridays. On a hunch, I called a motel just off Route 14. Real old-school place, brick front, faded sign. I put on a fake voice and told the front desk I was a rep from Green Terrain Landscaping, Jackson's company. Said I was confirming his room booking for Mr. Cole. She didn't even pause. Yep, same room. He's here most Tuesdays and Fridays. That was all I needed. I remembered something from a beat-up crime novel I read on a flight once. Don't follow them. Follow the other party. The one who thinks they're invisible. I didn't sleep much after that. Just laid there next to Leah while she scrolled through Instagram, pretending everything was normal. The following week, I took a sick day. Drove 2 hours north to a strip mall in Sandpoint, to a second-floor office with the blinds drawn and a dented metal sign. Frank Myers, Private Investigations. Frank looked like a guy who'd been doing this job since the 80s. Crew cut, loose tie, coffee breath. Didn't offer a handshake. Just nodded toward the chair across from his desk. You married? I asked. He narrowed his eyes. Divorced twice. Why? Just want someone who's not sentimental. He cracked a smile. You'll get over that fast in this line of work. I slid an envelope across the desk. Inside, a printout of Jackson's schedule, a screenshot of the motel confirmation, a photo of Leah from a dinner party a year ago. He flipped through it all. You already know the truth, he said. I need it on paper. He leaned back in his chair and cracked his neck. Truth comes with a price. I'm not worried about money. Not talking about money. I mean the kind of price that comes when you can't unsee what you asked to see. I didn't blink. I'm asking anyway. Frank nodded slowly, then opened a drawer and pulled out a legal pad. I'll have something in a few days, he said. But don't say I didn't warn you. 3 days later, I heard a knock at the shop entrance around noon. I was elbow-deep in an invoice backlog, but I knew who it was the second I saw the dull brown envelope in his hand. Frank didn't bother with pleasantries. He stepped in, shut the door, and tossed the envelope onto my desk. It's all there, he said. Photos, messages, history. You want me to say it out loud? No, he nodded. Didn't think so. He left before I even opened it. I stared at the envelope a long time. It wasn't heavy, but my hands felt like they were holding a cinder block. I peeled it open slow. First thing I saw was a photo. Leah stepping out of her car at that motel off Route 14. Hair up, tight skirt, sunglasses too big for her face. Behind her, Jackson getting out of his truck. Same cocky swagger like he was showing up for a damn game. Next photo, same day, 5 minutes later, entering the same room. His hand on her back. Flip, different day, different outfit. Same room, same pattern. Then came the texts. Frank had printed screenshots on plain paper. No names, just Leah and Jackson in all caps. That was enough. Jackson, can't stop thinking about last time. Leah, I feel alive with you. Jackson, we'll make it public after the dust settles. I kept flipping, even though my stomach turned with every page. Leah, Mike's a good man, but he's dull. Jackson, Mike's not a man. Not like me. That one stopped me cold. I gripped the edge of the desk so hard I felt the wood crack. My jaw was locked so tight I thought a molar might pop loose. It didn't feel like heartbreak. It felt like betrayal layered on insult, wrapped in some twisted joke I wasn't in on. But Frank hadn't just stopped at them. He'd gone deeper. Beneath the texts and motel photos there was more. He'd built a pattern. For women. Married. All of them with steady husbands. His word, not mine. One was the wife of his biggest competitor in outdoor irrigation. The man filed bankruptcy 6 months after his wife left him. Another was married to a city inspector in charge of zoning permits. Jackson's newest location got approved fast, too fast, considering the backlog. 2 of the 4 affairs ended in lawsuits, non-disclosure agreements, settlements, all quiet, all buried. Frank even had spreadsheet summaries, columns for names, businesses, timeline of affairs, and this part hit me sideways, contract outcomes. It wasn't about love. It wasn't even about sex. It was strategy. Jackson used women like crowbars. Pry open the men. Get close. Get inside the circle. Leverage whatever spilled in the bedroom. Leah wasn't the first. Hell, she probably wasn't even special. Just the next move on the board. I stood up and paced the room, gripping the envelope like it might bite me. I wanted to throw it, burn it, punch a hole through the drywall, scream until my lungs tore. But I didn't. Instead, I sat back down and went through it again. Slower this time. Not just looking for anger. Looking for facts. For leverage. For ammunition. Because now I wasn't just a husband who got cheated on. I was a man with a reason. I grabbed the envelope, climbed into my truck, and drove straight to Meridian. I had Dana Cole's address from a property records search Frank pulled. Subdivision full of polished sidewalks, pastel shutters, and oversized SUVs. Her house sat near the end of a cul-de-sac, tucked behind a maple tree so manicured it looked fake. I parked at the curb. My hands didn't shake, but I gripped that envelope like it might blow away. She answered after 2 knocks. Tall, blonde, sharp eyes. Like she used to be soft but had learned better. She was wearing tennis clothes but didn't look like she'd played anything. Yes? She said, polite but guarded. Dana? My name's Mike Reddick. I think your husband and my wife have been involved. That hit. Not hard, but enough to register. She hesitated, then opened the door wider. You'd better come in. Inside was quiet. Beige furniture, scented candles, pictures of 2 kids on the wall. One in a soccer jersey, the other in ballet tights. There was a bowl of fruit on the counter that looked arranged by hand. She motioned to the kitchen table. I sat, pulled the envelope out slow, and slid it across. She didn't open it right away, just looked at me. What exactly am I looking at? Photos, texts, motel records, and some background. Of Leah. Of Jackson. This isn't his first time. She opened the envelope and flipped through the pages, one by one. No crying. No yelling. No denial. Just silence and eyes that didn't blink much. I let her read. A couple minutes in, she set the papers down and folded her hands in her lap. So this is what he does when he's working late. I nodded once. And it's not just the cheating. He targets married women. Women tied to competitors. Insiders. Regulators. There's a pattern. Dates of the affairs line up with business wins. Leverage, she said, like the word tasted familiar. Exactly. She stared at the far wall for a second, then back at me. Why bring this to me? Because you deserve to know. And because I figure you've got more reach than I do. She stood, walked to a drawer near the fridge, and came back holding a small key on a red tag. Dropped it on the table like it was a dead bug. That's for the storage unit we share, she said. He keeps files there. Stuff he won't let his assistants touch. Contracts. Old hard drives. Maybe more. I picked it up. She leaned against the counter, arms crossed. If you can stop him, do it. I looked up at her. You sure? I was sure the second I saw that motel room number. I left Dana's house with the key in my pocket and one thought in my head. It ends now. Next evening, just after sunset, I pulled up to the U-Store on East Pine. Gated lot. Metal roll-up doors. Quiet. The kind of place you rent and forget until a divorce or a funeral. Unit 207. I punched in the code Dana gave me, waited for the beep, then slid the door open. Creaked like it hadn't moved in weeks. Inside smelled like cardboard and mildew. A single overhead bulb flickered once, then held steady. The place wasn't big. Maybe 10 feet wide, 12 deep, but it was full. Plastic bins, banker's boxes, 2 old office chairs, and a locked filing cabinet shoved into the back. I went for the boxes first. Labels on the front in black Sharpie. Angela R. Permits. Jennifer K. Irrigation. Karen M. Budget bids. Every name matched one of Frank's notes. Every box had a second label underneath. Company names, competitor tags, city departments. I opened one. Inside were spreadsheets, printouts with dates, project codes, and dollar amounts. Some had sticky notes with names circled. Others had margins filled with handwriting. Get her talking about Q2 targets. He signs off on Thursday. I moved to the next. Emails, screenshots, a list of passwords with initials next to them. One paper had a timeline of when an affair started, followed by a list of meetings won within 3 months. There were photos too, hotel receipts, gas station stops, selfies he must have sent to them. I found one of Jackson shirtless in a motel mirror, flipping off the camera. Next box, bank statements. Transfers from one of his LLCs to Shell accounts. A printout of a Venmo log full of "Thanks, babe," and "You deserve this" notes. And then I found it. An external drive tucked in a manila envelope, marked private, do not discard. I took out my laptop, hooked it up, and waited. It spun for a second, then popped open. Folders everywhere. PDFs of signed NDAs, scanned IDs, even audio recordings. One was labeled, Angela Conference Call 4 to 9. I didn't play it. Not yet. I scanned everything, photos, docs, spreadsheets, audio files. Then backed it up to a drive I'd brought, encrypted it, and stored it on a secure cloud I'd set up that morning. I packed everything back the way I found it. Closed the lid on each box. Locked the drive cabinet. Shut the unit door and slid the latch closed. On the way back to my truck, my hand didn't shake when I reached for my phone. I dialed his number. He picked up like nothing was wrong. "Mike, what's up, man?" I kept it even, thinking we should grab dinner. Just us this time. He laughed. "No, Leah? That's a shame." I clenched the wheel. "Tomorrow night. My office. Bring that whiskey you like to show off." He paused, just a beat. Then, "Sounds good. Been too long." "Yeah," I said. "It has." He showed up 5 minutes late, carrying a bottle of whiskey like we were two buddies catching up after football practice. "Hope you didn't start without me," he said, stepping in like he owned the place. I kept my face neutral, locked the door behind him. "Nah, you're just in time." He held up the bottle. "Top shelf stuff. Figured we could toast the deal." I nodded and walked over to the corner table where 2 glasses were already set. While he uncorked it and poured, I reached under my desk and tapped my phone screen, recording app on. Hidden cam in the lamp already rolling. He handed me a glass and settled into the leather chair across from mine, legs crossed, comfortable as ever. "So," he said, raising the glass, "to closing deals, and whatever else keeps us sane." I tapped mine against his but didn't drink. He took a slow sip, leaned back, and grinned. "You look tense, Mike. Everything good at home?" There it was. I shrugged. "Same old. Leah still doing real estate or whatever it was?" "She's around." He laughed. "Just making conversation, man. Don't be so damn uptight. You've always been too serious." I let him talk. I wanted him loose. He kept going. "You know, back in the day, I never pegged you as the marriage type. Thought you'd end up living in a garage with 10 dogs and a busted-out engine." "Funny," I said. "Back in the day, I thought you'd be in jail by now." That made him pause. Just a second. Then he smiled again. "Still got that bite in you, huh? That's cute." I leaned forward, elbows on the desk. You're sleeping with Leah. He froze mid-sip, lowered the glass. Excuse me? You heard me. He laughed like it was ridiculous. Shook his head. Come on, man. What is this? You dragging me out here to play jealous husband? I didn't move. You want to keep pretending? His smile flattened. You got no proof. I do, I said. Photos, texts, room records. You've been real consistent. His jaw tensed. Still not illegal. Not yet. I opened the drawer and slid the envelope across the desk. He didn't touch it right away. What's this? Start with the last page. It's a message Leah sent you. About me not being a man. He swallowed, eyes flicking to the paper like it might explode. He opened it. Read. Turned the page. Kept reading. I waited. He got about halfway through before his hand started shaking. I leaned back in my chair. That's not all. Of course not, he muttered. Jennifer K. Angela R. Dana's seen it. So has the state contractors board. So has a lawyer from your competitor's legal team. You bastard. No, I said. You are. I just finally caught up. He pushed the envelope away, face flushed. Listen, Mike. No, you don't talk now. I'm going to tell you what happens next. He opened his mouth again. I cut him off. You're going to get a call in the next 48 hours. State's going to launch an ethics and fraud inquiry. Your wife, she's freezing your assets. That storage unit you kept so secret? Not so secret anymore. He stood up suddenly. You broke in. She gave me the key. He blinked. I kept going. You think this is just about Leah? You've been doing this for years, using women to bleed information out of men who trusted you. You built your business on pillow talk and stolen deals. That ends now. He looked like he wanted to swing at me. I hoped he would. I wanted it. Instead, he said, You're ruining lives. You've been ruining them for years. I'm just finally handing you the bill. He stared at me for a second, breathing hard. Then he grabbed the bottle off the table and walked out without another word. Jackson didn't call, didn't text, just disappeared. 3 days later, Dana filed for divorce and locked down their bank accounts. Froze every business line with his name on it. I read about it on the county clerk site before he probably even saw the paperwork hit his desk. A week after that, the state contractors board suspended his license. Public notice. Fraud investigation pending. Then came the chain reaction. One of his biggest suppliers pulled their contract. Then another. Then a commercial client, the golf course outside Boise, filed breach of ethics. He tried to deny everything, of course. But the paper trail was too clean. Too deep. One company filed suit by the end of the month. It didn't take long for Leah to figure out I was behind it. She cornered me in the kitchen one evening, arms folded, eyes narrowed like I owed her something. You knew, she said. I didn't even look up from the box I was packing. I knew. For how long? Since the night you told me you were going to see Natalie in Twin Falls, and came back smelling like someone else's cologne. She opened her mouth, then shut it, walked in a little closer. Mike. It wasn't personal. That stopped me. I stood straight and looked her dead in the face. That's exactly what makes it worse. She didn't respond. Just stood there, blinking like she was trying to figure out what to say. You picked the one guy who's been screwing me over since we were kids, I said. You knew that, Leah. You knew who he was to me. I didn't plan it. No, you just let it happen. Same thing. I taped the box shut and set it aside. I'm done. You can keep the house. She looked shocked. That's it. That's it. I moved out the next day. Got a short-term rental across town. 1-bedroom place above a garage with a lumpy mattress and a cracked mirror in the bathroom. Didn't matter. I just needed space. She called 4 times the first week. Left a voicemail once. I didn't listen. Didn't answer. Didn't block her either. Let the silence say everything. Frank called me a week later. You might want to lawyer up, he said. Why? Because other women are coming forward. This thing's blowing open. Looks like we're heading for a class action. He said like I was part of it now. Maybe I was. He told me one of the women had documents showing Jackson pressured her into sharing login credentials for her husband's work files. Another had an NDA with a payout that never came. I didn't ask for the details. I just told him to keep me posted. That night, I sat in the parking lot of a bar I used to go to before I met Leah. Didn't go in. Just watched the front door, thinking how fast it had all unraveled. Not just the marriage, but the whole damn foundation. Everything Jackson built was fake. And Leah? She'd bought the same smile I grew up hating. She fell for it like it was gold, and it turned out to be spray paint on rust. A year later, I was living in a small cabin outside Spokane. 1 bedroom, no neighbors close, just tall pine trees and the lake 50 steps from my back porch. I fished on weekends, grilled most nights, slept like I hadn't in years. Phone barely rang, and that was how I liked it. One afternoon in early spring, Dana showed up in a black SUV with her kids in the back. Said they were visiting a friend nearby and figured they'd stop in. I made coffee, and we sat on the porch while her kids chased frogs near the waterline. She looked different, lighter. He took a deal, she said. 3 years. Wire fraud. Business tampering. I nodded. Could have been worse. Could have been longer, she said. But I'll take it. We sat there for a minute, quiet except for the wind moving through the trees. I'm glad you came to me, she said. Most people would not have bothered. You deserved the truth. She gave me a small smile, then went to round up the kids. Before she got in the car, she turned and said, "You're not who he thought you were." "Yeah," I said. That was the point. She drove off, and I stood there a while, watching the dust trail disappear down the gravel road. I hadn't seen Leah since I left. Didn't plan to. She never remarried. Far as I heard, she still lived in the house. Someone told me she got a job at a local bank. I don't know if that's true. Doesn't really matter. I wasn't angry anymore. I was just done. I went on a couple dates. Nothing serious. I didn't rush anything. I didn't need to. I was good with the quiet now. Every so often, I'd get a manila envelope in the mail, lawyer stuff. Updates on the lawsuits, depositions, class action moving forward. I didn't even read them half the time. Just scanned the headlines and tossed them in a drawer. Jackson thought he was 10 steps ahead of everybody. Thought he could play every angle, get every woman, win every deal. He thought I was just some quiet guy with grease under his fingernails. But he never saw me coming. Because I was the guy who watched, who waited, who planned. And in the end, I was the one holding the match.